Welcome back to another season here on the Pioneer Spotlight. I'm Josh Krupp. Each week here in the Center for Media Innovation Studios, we interview a Point Park Pioneer team, athlete, or coach. And this week, for the debut of Season 2 of the Pioneer Spotlight Fall Sports Season, we have the volleyball head coach, Mike Bruno, here. Mike, thanks for coming down to the CMI.
Thanks for having us, Josh.
First impressions of the season this year for the volleyball team. 5-5 to open up the season. Better start than in the past few years. What are your first thoughts of this team?
Well, 5-5 is still not what we're hoping to do, but within that, within the process of getting to 5-5, we're making a lot of strides and doing some good things. Competition is okay. UPJ we just hosted was a very strong team out of the PSAC. In fact, I think they're favored to win it this year. But we have. Our team is maybe not new with intercollegiate athletes. We have a lot of transfers, but we're new together. So the process continues to get better, and we're hoping that this last weekend we prepare for conference, and it's a good foundation. So.
We'll stay on that new theme, losing a lot of important players, including the Conference Player of the Year last season, and a big recruiting class coming in. Who has stood out to you so far? Who do you want to see more from, and how are you kind of seeing this recruiting class play out so far?
There's a ton of talent on the floor, and it's just a matter of meshing all that talent into a unified group. Ashley Taylor obviously is putting up tremendous numbers. As far as the new kids, Erica Gomes is making a nice presence on the left pin, as well as Meg Renicky. She's doing a great job out there as well. In the middle, Savannah Dishman is creating a nice presence in the middle, as well as Jazz Rozier. She's a true freshman, so there's some growing pains with Jazz, but she has a big upside, and I look for big things for her in the future.
Ashley Taylor back for year 3. You mentioned her name. She has had a phenomenal start to the season, leading the conference in kills so far. What have you seen from her development over the last few years, and how has she developed into a leader for this season?
She's always been a gifted athlete, but where Ashley separates herself is her work ethic and her desire to compete. She had a bumpy start as a student athlete, and this year she is one of our captains, and I'm beyond proud of her the way she has evolved into a complete student athlete.
And Morgan DeAngelo, another player coming back as at your libero position this year. How has her leadership benefited this team so far? Morgan
is getting better and better every touch. She is evolving as a leader. With these new captains, obviously, you have to kind of cultivate their leadership and teach them, how to influence and lead. It's a delicate deck of cards for a kid to be a leader on a team and kind of be that conduit of communication between the coaching staff and the players. And so, with both her and Ashley, we're working on that component for them.
And the volleyball team at Point Park is no stranger to the NAI National Tournament. Getting there in the past has seemed to be almost an annual expectance. In the past few years, it happens almost every year, and just couldn't get past that first win in the opening round there. The goals for this season, do you start it at the conference level, or do you want to get that win and advance further in the national tournament?
Well, you can't get one without the other, obviously. So, fortunately, the River States is a two-bid league. If you win the regular season, which we were fortunate enough to do last year, we got that first bid, and then the other bid comes from either winning the conference championship, or being the runner-up if you were the regular season champion. So, we're fortunately this year they restructured the tournament in the River States tournament, so whoever wins the East, which is our side, will get to host the River States conference tournament. So we're going to approach one at a time and kind of take care of business. And I'm very happy with where we are in our development as we approach the conference next weekend.
How is the conference shaped up so far this season? I know there haven't been too many games yet, but from what you've seen and heard from around the league, what's the River States Conference looking like this year?
You look at common opponents and you look at tradition. Our conference is getting beat up outside. Kokomo's playing a tough schedule. They've been on the bottom end of some of those matches, but I know they're going to put a good product on the floor. Asbury seems to be doing well this year. So it's going to be one match at a time. And we see everybody in the East twice, and then we cross over once for the West opponents.
Coach, thanks a lot. We're going to go to River State's conference play on September 15th at IU East. That's whenever the River State's conference play begins for the volleyball team. Diving right in. This weekend, though, they're at Shawnee State in Ohio for a tournament. Be sure to follow us online at PointParkSports.com and on Twitter at Point Park Sports for all of the latest updates surrounding this Point Park volleyball team. Coach, thanks for coming down.
Thank you, Josh. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.